Hey guys, I'm going to walk you through the Unit 3 review notes. Okay, so we'll start with the first page. It says, what is the relationship between angle A and angle H? So we look at angle A, we look at angle H. Those things are both on the outsides. Okay, so then we would say that they are alternate exterior angles. The next question says, name two pairs of corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles mean that they are the same angle and they're on the same side of a specific line. So then we could take a look at A and E because those two angles are equal to each other. And they're on the same side of line P, so they would be considered corresponding angles. Sorry, I don't need to rewrite corresponding. Just need to write angle A and angle E. Okay, what is the relationship between B and C? So then we take a look at B and C right here, and we can say that those two things, hopefully you remember, are called vertical angles. If angle E is congruent to angle D, can you conclude that M is parallel to N? Why or why not? So E being equal to D, so it's saying E and D equal to each other. So if those things truly are equal, then we would have opposite interior angles. Would prove that M is parallel to N. If M is parallel to N, can you conclude that angle D and angle F are equal to or congruent to each other? Angle D and angle F, if M is parallel to N? No. The reason that we can't prove that those two things, the reason that we can't conclude that is because angle D and angle F would not be congruent at all. All right, if M is parallel to N and the measure of angle G is equal to 77 degrees, what is the measure of angle A? So then we look at the relationship between A and G. So we come up here, we see A and we see G. Well, A is then equal to E, right? So those two things share a singular line, so they would add up to 180. So then we could say 77 plus angle A is equal to 180. We would subtract off 77, and we would get 103 degrees. If the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle D, can you conclude that M is parallel to N? And we would have to say A and D. So let's look back up here. A and D. Okay, if those two things were equal to each other, can we conclude that M and N are parallel? No, we cannot, because vertical angles does not prove parallel. All right, next page. So the next page we're going to go into proofs, guys. Proofs, scary, right? They're a little scary to me too. But the nice thing is that we always are going to start with the given statement. So we're given that M is parallel to N. The reason for this is that it's given to us. And then we're always going to end with the prove statement. So it says prove that the measure of angle D plus the measure of angle F. Geez, if I could write measure of angle F is equal to 180 degrees. So then really the only thing we need to find is what is the answer for B, right? Well, then we look here, we see D and we see F. What are those two things? Those two things are consecutive interior angles. Okay. And that can actually be found way down here. Okay. You can see consecutive interior angles theorem, right? So all of these words that we're about to fill in are going to be found at the bottom of the second page. So the number 2, right? We always start with the given. M is parallel to N. It's because it's given. And then we need to prove that angle D is congruent to angle E. So we need to find D. We need to find E. What are those two things? They're alternate interior angles. All right, number 3. Starting with the given, M parallel to N. It's because it's given to us. Then it says angle A and angle F are supplementary. Okay, so then we come through here, and we first need to look at angle A and D. Why are those two things congruent to each other? Because they're vertical angles. Angle D and angle F are supplementary, so D is supplementary to F. Why would those things be supplementary, right? We actually proved it up here, right? The first question, it's because they're consecutive interior angles. So then why would angle D and angle F be supplementary? Well, if we use substitution, right? So if we use substitution, we have F right here. We have D right here. And then we can say that because of substitution, those two things would be equal to each other. Because we substitute this A right here for the D in this problem right here. We're allowed to do that because A and D are congruent to each other. All right, next one. So given that M is parallel to N, prove that the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle H. Right, so M parallel to N, that was given to us. We need to prove that A is equal to H, so A and H are right here. So then what we can do is we can say that angle A, is congruent to angle H. Why is that? Because of alternate exterior angles. All right. And that's all we had to do for that one. So let's go to the next page, right? It says, now we're going to use converse geometry proofs. So all of these converse proofs, these things prove that lines are parallel. So then we look up here. We always start with the given. Angle B is congruent to angle G. That's given to us. It says prove that M is parallel to N. Well, B and G, it says B is here, G is here. What are those things? They're alternate exterior angles. And because we're proving parallel, we have to say it's the converse. So because we're proving parallel lines, we have to add that extra word saying converse. All right, the next statement says M measure of angle E plus the measure of angle C is equal to 180. That's given to us. We want to prove that M is parallel to N. All right. So E and C are supplementary. So we go to E and C. Why are those things supplementary? Because they're consecutive interior angles. Right, that's why those two things would be supplementary. And then to say, oh wait, sorry, that's not I was going backwards. There. The measure of angle E plus angle C is equal to 180. That's given to us. Then why are these two things, why is E supplementary with C? It's because it's the definition of supplementary, right? Supplementary. So because supplementary means that two angles add together to 180, we're allowed to say statement B right there that says angle E and angle C are supplementary because it's given to us that those two things added together is 180. So then we can say by the consecutive interior angle converse, why can I not spell today? Consecutive interior angle converse, M would be parallel to N. All right, number 7. Wow, I've been struggling through this. I apologize, guys. Number 7, we start with angle D and angle G are supplementary. The reason for that is because it's given, right? We want to prove that M is parallel to N. So D and G are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. So we can say D and G, those things add up to 180 degrees. It says angle G is congruent to angle F. Why do we know that? Those two things are vertical angles. And then it says angle D and angle F are supplementary. Well, that just did a little quick substitution, right? We substituted G for F. So that was a substitution. And then we can look at D and we can look at F and Y. Those things are consecutive interior angles. So then we can say the converse proves that M is parallel to N. All right. So let's just kind of go through this word bank and see what all these things are used for, right? Alternate interior angle theorem. So the alternate interior angle theorem proves that angles are congruent to each other. Alternate exterior angle theorem also proves that angles are congruent. The consecutive interior angle theorem says that they add to 180 degrees or are supplementary. Okay, the corresponding angles postulate, this proves that angles are equal. The vertical angle theorem also proves that angles are congruent. And then the linear pair postulate says angles add up to 180. Definition of supplementary says that angle 1 plus angle 2 would equal 180 degrees. Definition of congruence means that the measure of angle 1 would be equal to the measure of angle 2. All right. And then substitution is just plugging in something, a different letter, right? So we could say A is equal to B is equal to C, so A is equal to C. That would be substituting in A for B. All right, I think we're almost done, right? This is our last page. So solving linear problems, guys. The first question says name all angles that are congruent to angle 3. So we have angle 3, so vertical angles gives us angle 2. And then we can swap down to here. Angle 7 is a corresponding angle. And then angle 6 is vertical to angle 7, so that makes angle 6 also congruent to angle 3. Name all angles that are supplementary with angle 7. So let's come back through here. Angle 7 is right here. Supplementary means it adds up to 180 degrees, also known as sharing a line. So angle 8 is that first one I see. And then I would say angle 5 next, because if we look at angle 5 and angle 7, they share this line right here. And then we have to look across, right? So 7 is equal to 3, so then that means 1 and 4 would also be possible, right? Angle 7 is equal to angle 3 because those would be corresponding angles. If measure of angle 4 is 7x plus 8, so then let's label that. So this is 7x plus 8. And the measure of angle 6 is 3x plus 8. So the measure of angle 6, 3x plus 8. Find the measure of angle 6. Well, these two angles, consecutive interior angles, say they add to 180. So then we can say 7x minus 8 plus 3x plus 8 is equal to 180. So then doing the math for that, that's 10x is equal to 180 because negative 8 and positive 8 would cancel. Divide by 10 from both sides, x would be 18. All right, if the measure of angle 5 is 92 degrees, so let's label that. Angle 5 is 92 degrees. Angle 4 is 4x plus 4, so 4x plus 4. Find the value of angle x. Well, those two things, right? Hopefully you recognize that that's alternate interior angles, so they would be equal. So 92 is equal to 4x plus 4. We solve for this, so minus 4, that gives us 88 is equal to 4x. Divide by 4 from both sides, x would be equal to 22. All right, what reason would you use to conclude that angle 2 and angle 6 are congruent? So let's go up here. They're looking at 2 and 6. Those would be corresponding angles. Okay, that would be our reason. Corresponding angles. Okay, and then let's take a look at this last problem. It says, if measure of angle 3 is 75, find the measures of all the rest of the angles. So angle 3 is 75 degrees. Well, let's find all the ones that are equal to that. So 2 is also 75 degrees. We go corresponding angle to angle 7 down here. That would be 75 degrees. And then that also tells us that angle 6 is 75 degrees. Okay, so all those things are equal. So then really the rest of them, right, are all supplementary to 75. So in order to find angle 1, we would just take 180 minus 75, and that is going to give us what, 105 degrees. Okay, so because these two things have to add up, so it'd be 75 plus angle 1 equals 180, that's where this math comes from. We just subtract 75 from 180. So then that tells us angle 4 is 105 degrees, angle 5 is 105 degrees, and angle 8 is 105 degrees. Okay, so I hope that was some good review of all of these angle theorems and postulates from GAC 1.